Listen to this. A retired police officer who served in the U.S. Navy claims his guns were confiscated by police after he was mistakenly diagnosed as mentally unstable, which is strange considering he went to the emergency room because he couldn't sleep. That's unstable? Donald Montgomery is now suing New York's governor and state officials for violating his constitutional rights. He joins us right now along with his attorney, PALOMA CAPANNA. They join us from Rochester. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Donald, it was last May. You couldn't sleep. You went to the emergency room. And what happened?
That's correct. I went to the emergency room and was given medication. It did not work. I returned there voluntarily for sleep problems, insomnia, and I spent 48 hours in the hospital. I slept fine, and I was released.
All right. How are you sleeping these days?
I'm doing fine. I'm sleeping well.
So you just couldn't sleep. And then, as it turns out, Paloma, so how did the sheriff's department then find out that he had sleep problems and he was mentally unstable and they had to come and confiscate his guns?
Right. What appears to be the case is that at this point there is a mental health reporting system operating on a statewide basis between medical providers, the Office of Mental Health, the Department of Criminal Justice Services, the New York State Police, county law enforcement, county clerks, and local law enforcement. So essentially what happens is once you are tagged as a mental defective or involuntarily committed, your personal health information hits the bureaucracy and goes statewide.
And what happened was then the sheriff showed up and they confiscated, Donald, your legal guns. Here's the nurse's note from the hospital in the legal complaint. Patient has no thoughts of hurting self. Patient has no thoughts of hurting others. Patient is not having suicidal thoughts. Patient is not having homicidal thoughts. And yet, because of this new law, they took your guns. Now, Donald, going forward, you're suing the governor, Governor Cuomo, here in New York City, New York State, that is to say. What do you want from the government?
Well, what I would like is the Constitution to be observed and to not send medical reports willy-nilly throughout the state to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who isn't really authorized to see them.
Absolutely. And it's just extraordinary, the fact that you couldn't sleep for a couple of days. You wind up being deemed, tagged, mentally unstable. They take your guns. By the way, we did reach out to the hospital and the police for a statement, and so far we have had no response. Well, keep us posted because we want to hear how this all resolves itself. Donald Montgomery, PALOMA CAPANNA, thank you very much for joining us today from Rochester.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Fox News.
You bet.